Hello everyone, hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Welcome back to another coach interview for Season 8 here in the GBA. My name is Strompfel and I'll be your host today for the interview where we get the opportunity to meet and greet a new coach. And this time it is the man, the myth, the coach of the best team out of 9 weeks of the GBA D-League. This guy has more experience in the draft format than the entire Swedish population combined. His builds are more complex than the Sydney Opera House. Introducing Jolt from the Token Minorities. How are you, my man?
Nice, that was a good intro.
Yeah.
How's it going, guys? Happy to be here.
So, this is how it's gonna go down. I'm gonna ask Jolt a series of questions regarding his experience by coaching a team, the GBA and Pokemon in general, which will give me and you guys a good idea of who we are dealing with this season. Jolt, are you ready and excited?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Awesome, that is so good to hear. So let's get into the first question. So what was your first Pokemon experience? What got you into the Pokemon community?
Ooh. Into the Pokemon community, well, it started with the card game, so I've never really been like a competitive TCG player, but when I was in kindergarten, one of my friends just passed me a random Pokemon card. I'm like, ooh, what is this? And, you know, that was just pretty much all she wrote. From there, I wanted to get my first Pokemon card pack back from the original base set, and then I believe shortly after that, I got Pokemon Yellow and started getting into the video game as well. So, you know, it's just been kind of a consistent thing throughout my life. It's been my biggest hobby outside of sports, probably, outside of school, obviously, as well. Yeah. But, yeah, it's just kind of built from there. Picked up competitive mons in Diamond and Pearl, and, yeah, here I am now.
Good old Diamond and Pearl, where you find a random kid on the Wi-Fi room and just start battling.
Right?
But that actually leads us into the next question, which you kind of already answered, but what brought you into the realm of competitive Pokemon battling?
Yeah, so it started in Diamond and Pearl, like I said.
Yeah,
I found this random website called friendcodes.com. And that's a place that had like these little hubs where you can meet and greet with people who are also trying to play Pokemon on Wi-Fi, competitive Pokemon on Wi-Fi, and that was where I really more so learned, you know, what competitive Pokemon was, as opposed to just using my in-game team and getting slaughtered by everyone on the website. So, yeah, but that's where I learned the ropes of things. I met some really cool people there, like Shofu, probably the most notable name that I met on that website when I started off. Yeah, that was before he was really big, obviously, but
okay.
yeah, that's where he got his roots too. Fun fact. But yeah, that's where I got started, and then it's just grown from there. Picked up draft format in later parts of Gen 6. I guess it would have been, I believe, late X and Y is when I picked up draft format and started playing that competitively as well.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. Now we are in Gen 7 and we got some new move tutors. So which Pokemon do you feel benefit the most thanks to the new move tutors and egg moves?
Well, one that's a little bit of a... I guess one you might not think about too much, I think, is Ribombee picking up Sticky Web. I think Ribombee...
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, it may not be as big of an impact player in draft format, just because Sticky Web, I feel, isn't super common. But in terms of ladder play, maybe not even an OU, but just in general, whatever tier it ends up being in, Ribombee probably will be the premier Sticky Web user. Maybe in conjunction with either that or Smeargle. Smeargle also having access to Spore helps it a bit for being a Sticky Web user. But Ribombee is one, definitely. But in terms of OU, and especially in draft format as well, I think Superior benefits a lot from picking up Defog. It was one of those mons that always had like 3 moves it wanted to run, and the last move was just kind of tacked on because you don't have anything else to really run in that slot. Like, for example, Giga Drain or Knockoff typically go in that last slot along with Leaf Storm, a Hidden Power, and Dragon Pulse. So Superior having Defog, that really helps it out, I think, a lot too.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, especially with the Ribombee part, and it's actually, Ribombee getting access to Sticky Webs will be another reason to draft, but it also will be another thing that you have to prepare for when you face up against it, which means that you have, like, the thing with the, you can either go like dual screens, you can set up Sticky Webs, you can set up a Quiver Dance, and it does have a really good speed stat, so you will be able to throw off at least one hit with it as you go up against an even faster Pokemon, but usually don't do that. But, Joel, tell me, how do you feel, what is your kind of strategy when it comes to battling? Are you more of a stall player, or are you more of a hyper-offensive builder, or are you more of like an in-between bulky kind of guy?
Well, I can go really a variety of ways. I think what I'm most comfortable with, though, is more bulky offense. So that would be mainly mons that can be used offensively, but can also be invested in and just run like defensive movesets as well. Like for example, something like Mew and Jirachi are mons I really like a lot because they can both be fast and offensive as well as being fat and annoying for an opponent as well. So I like to draft and use a lot of mons like that, and I think that's a common theme you see in my drafts, both in the D League as well as what you'll see here on my GBA draft. I really like those mons that can be used both offensively and defensively. That's like my favorite quote to use one in my videos as well, whenever I'm talking about drafts that I make and mons that I would want to draft, is because they can be used in both ways. So yeah, definitely a bulky offense player, but when it comes to draft format, you really have to be able to adapt to whatever your opponent's team is, and sometimes that means that bulky offense isn't the way to go. Sometimes you have to build and play differently, and I'm perfectly capable and happy to do that as well if I have to.
Which is probably why you are one of the more scarier people in this season of the GBA. Definitely for a fact, but because you can go either way. You can just throw off like a Chansey stall, or next week you're up against you're coming up with like a sticky web hyper offense. You never know. You can never predict you.
Well, don't get me started on Chansey. Chansey's awful.
Chansey's probably awful in draft play. You get my point. You can do whatever you want, which is why you are, as I said, got those nice builds, more complex than the Sydney Opera House. I kind of felt like I got a pretty good metaphor right there. But so, last question.
Sure.
What do you feel is the most essential component of a good draft team? And you kind of already explained this, but let's go into more detail with this.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a loaded question. So.
Yeah, I got the time. You can just go on.
Alright, well, I'm going to split it into a couple parts. So, most essential components. One thing that is very important is versatility. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about wanting to personally pretty much only draft mons that can be used both in offensive and defensive roles. And in draft format, I find that that's really important because you never really know what matchups you're going to see. You never really know when you're going to need a specific typing to be able to serve a defensive role to deal with a specific threat. So, for example, again, looking at stuff like Mew, that can potentially be a very good offensive threat against an opposing team, just being a psychic type with a respectable attack and special attack stat in base 100. But it can also, if you need it to accomplish the role, being defensive, being a switch into a fighting type, being a switch into just something that a psychic type would be able to deal with well, it can be that defensive role as well. So versatility is really important. Mew is just the definition of versatility, but there's a lot of mons that can also serve that type of purpose, being both offensive and defensive. But so versatility is a very important thing. The other very important component of a draft is the speed tiers, especially this generation with Z moves being such a prevalent thing. And how I prep, I like to make it so that Z moves don't beat me, just because in general Z moves are really effective against classic Gen 6 bulky offense, and bulky offense this gen, at least in my eyes, has adapted to the point where it needs to be faster, because you need to be able to outspeed those breakers that have Z moves so that you're not slaughtered by them. So that's kind of how I view bulky offense this gen. Speed tiers are very important. I also see that a wide variety of speed tiers is critical to have on a draft as well, just because it makes sure that your opponent doesn't have access to extra power by being able to run an adamant or a modest nature instead of having to speed creep something with a timid or a jolly nature. Just one example there's several examples like that when you're looking at prep in format. But yeah, I'd say the two most essential components are the speed tiers as well as versatility on a draft.
Yeah, I do think you have two really solid points there, and one more thing that I just want to mention for maybe the newer people is to have a diverse draft and also have some key cores, which is very crucial for many teams. Having like the infamous Dragon Fairy Steel core is pretty good. But there we have it. That will wrap up all the question where Jolt actually got his time to think about the answers. But now that will change. We'll now get into the lightning fast questions.
Oh boy!
And you have to, exactly. You have to answer as fast as humanly possible.
Okay.
Are you ready, Jolt?
I guess so.
Yeah, because this might be more challenging than the entire league itself, you know.
Oh boy.
Just follow your instincts. You'll do totally fine.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go.
Let's get this. Where would you travel, Kalos or Alola?
Oh, Alola.
What would you pick, Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon?
Sun.
What would you like, attack or special attack?
Attack.
But what about defense or special defense?
Special defense.
What's best, Tailwind or Trick Room?
Ooh, Trick Room. It's longer.
Do you prefer the Showdown or the Cartridge?
Oh, Showdown. Yeah, Showdown.
What's best, Gyms or Trials?
Gyms.
Do you go for the sweep or do you stall out the opponent?
Depends on the situation. I'll go with stall.
There we go. Favorite status move, Thunderwave, Toxic or Will-O-Wisp?
Toxic.
Electric, Psychic, Misty or Grassy Terrain? What's your favorite?
Misty.
What do you prefer, Defog or Rapid Spin?
Defog.
And last but not least, GG or Rage Quit?
GG.
I was hoping you'd go with that answer, but that's gonna wrap up all the questions this time for Jolt and his, what's your name again? Something Jirachiefs?
Kansas City Jirachiefs.
Kansas City Jirachiefs. You heard
a
it
little
yourself,
rebrand.
folks.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you're done with the Toronto Star Raptors. You want
Yes,
to
sir.
branch out to a more versatile mascot, as we as
Agreed.
you
You're right.
Yeah,
There you go.
Early, but I want to thank you so much, Joel, for doing an interview with me. It's been very enlightening, I must say.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I want to wish you the best of luck in this upcoming season of GBA. And yeah, that's gonna do it for me, guys. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time for another coach interview. Goodbye.